Hello, everybody. I am Brett McDermott, and this is the Doing Big Things podcast. Some people call it the DBT. And if it's the first time you've ever been here listening to the show, I just want to thank you for being here. So sometimes we have on guests, high performers in all different areas of life. And sometimes it's just me talking about a topic that I'm passionate about that I think that we need to work on if we all want to really maximize our potential on this planet. So today, what I'm going to be talking about on the podcast is motivation. And specifically, we're going to go over 5 things we can do, 5 keys to everlasting motivation. Now, motivation is kind of a funny thing, right? I mean, we can feel motivated for like days, weeks, sometimes even months on end. I mean, we are like lit on fire, like shot out of a cannon. It's an unbelievable feeling. And then sometimes you'll wake up and the motivation fairy is gone. The motivation fairy left no motivation under your pillow. And you're like, what the hell? I don't feel like doing anything today. Like, I'd rather go bowling. I'd rather go hit golf balls at the driving range. I'd rather binge watch a show on Netflix that I don't even like than do work towards the goals that I'm passionate about. And I think that the reason that motivation can kind of come and go is, sometimes we're just not seeing results immediately, right? Like when you go to the gym and you work out for the first month or so, you don't really see too many results for those first few weeks. And then the results start coming in and then that adds motivation. But there's going to be points in our journey where we just don't feel motivated. And I think there are some things that we can do on a daily or regular basis that keep us in that frame of mind to keep putting one foot in front of the other towards our goals. And here they are. I've narrowed it down to 5 that I think are really important. So the number one thing we can do to stay motivated is have concrete, specific, tangible goals, right? Like we need to be more specific with our goals. Like let's say we want to, up our sales game. If we write down a goal or we have a goal in our head that just says, I want to bring my sales game to the next level, that's way too vague. And it's just not going to motivate us to really get up and get going every day. Instead, something better could be like, I want to generate $1 million in revenue in a single calendar year, 3 years from today. Something very specific, tangible, and numeric. These are the types of goals that actually get us going. So I think super important right off the bat. Let's have goals in our life, in different categories. And let's make sure that they are as specific as possible. Because I really think the people that do big things in this world, they know what they want to do and they know exactly what they want to do. They don't just know what car they want. They know what model, what year, what trim level, what color car they want. They don't know they just want a beach house. They know exactly what beach they want that house to be on, how many square feet, what the roof's going to look like. I mean, we got to know exactly what we want, guys, if we want it to actually come to fruition. So moving down the list, and you guys know I love lists. For anyone that hasn't been here before, I'm a big list guy. Any of these solo casts, always going to be a list because I just think it's a nice way to present information. Number 2, way to stay motivated is not only have goals, but let's check in on those goals regularly, right? Let's keep them in front of us, whether that's a vision board at our desk, maybe it's a Google Doc, maybe it's a note in Evernote. Let's have these goals written out as specifically as possible, and let's check in on them at least once a week, and really even daily, 5 times a week at the start of your workday or the end of your workday. Just check into those goals, take a look at them, and remind yourself exactly how beautiful and pristine and lovely this life is going to be that you're building. Because if we don't check into these goals and we don't remind ourselves of our why and why we are trudging through the mud and doing all this stuff every day, good God, we're exhausted. If we don't remind ourselves why we're doing all this stuff, then we're going to stop doing it, right? So I think at least once a week, but preferably 5 times a week at the beginning of your workday, I think is the best time to do this. Just check in for 3 to 5 minutes, read over your goals, your yearly goals, your 5-year goals, your long-term vision. Take a look at it. Really embrace it, and it's going to shoot you out of a rocket. And that is how we're going to stay motivated, and we're going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. All right, moving down the list, guys. The number 3 way to stay motivated, and I'm a big believer in this one, is our input determines our output. And what I mean by that is, if we're not consciously, deliberately putting ourselves in the line of positive and worthwhile information, whether that's reading it, whether it's an audiobook, whether it's a podcast, whether it's an informational YouTube video, whatever it is, we got to be consciously directing our minds towards things that are going to serve us, things that are going to help us serve others. If we're just getting up and we're watching the news for an hour every day to start our day, oh God, talk about a terrible way to start off your voyage. I mean, you're just going to fill your mind with negativity. It's going to pull you down. It's not going to keep you motivated. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there is a baseline of information that us as citizens of a community should know, right? Like maybe like 5 to 10 minutes of news a day just to know what the hell's going on out there. Anything more than 10 minutes of news a day, to me, I think is wasting your time. That is time that should be devoted towards honing your craft, learning from great business leaders, or even just reading about positive literature that's going to uplift your soul. So our input determines our output. We got to, remind ourselves of that, and we got to square off time in our day. Maybe it's your commute. Maybe it's an audiobook or a podcast on your commute. Maybe it's reading a couple chapters every morning before the kids wake up. Maybe it's a little bit of reading before you go to bed. Maybe it's your favorite inspirational, motivational podcast while you're working out. We got to fit some of that juice into our day if we're going to expect ourselves to keep going. All right, number 4, working our way down a list. We love lists on doing big things, is surround yourself with motivated people. Now, this one sounds easy, right? But it's something that few of us really do, or at least we don't do it on purpose. I think we need to do it on purpose. What I think we should all have is a list of the 3 to 5 most ambitious, most motivated people. We've all got them in our lives, the ones that are trying to really squeeze the juice out of this thing called life. I mean, they're wringing the towel for every drop of life that this voyage has to offer. We know who those people are. And when we see all the cool stuff they're doing on Instagram and TikTok, it makes us a little bit jealous. But you know what? If we have friends that are doing so much with their lives that it makes us a little bit jealous, then we need to see that as what it is. And that's a blessing. Because the truth is, if we're surrounding ourselves with people that are only doing less than us, then we got to find a new room. If we're in a room where we are the most successful financially, personally, we're the healthiest, if we're in that room, guys, leave that room. Find the door and leave that room and find a new room. I'm a believer that every friend that we have should have at least one quality that we aspire to up our games to, right? Like maybe one of our friends is such a great father, and when we're with him, we learn about parenting. Another one of our friends has an incredible spirit of adventure, and we learn about spontaneity, and we take a little bit, with us on our voyage after that meeting. Every friend we have, we should be learning from in some capacity. And if you have a friend in your life that really is just not teaching you anything, is not lifting you in any way at all, it's probably someone that you shouldn't be consciously trying to hang out with too often. I know, tough to say, tough to hear, but I think that's the truth. Label, write out who are the 3 to 5 most motivated people in your lives, and get voice to voice with them, get face to face with them as often as possible. And their ambition, their motivation, their passion for life, it's going to wear off on you osmosis, guys. I'm telling you, it's magic. When you talk to these people on the phone, you're going to walk away from those conversations with a little bit more giddy up in your step. It's just the way it works. Probably the simplest success hack of all time. Surround yourselves that are doing a little bit more than you are, and you'll see yourself naturally up your game. All right, guys. The number 5 way, and this is a short list today, to stay motivated is to celebrate the small wins. If we are just going out there every day, accomplishing things, and then not even thinking about what we just did and just setting our sights on the next mountain to climb, we're going to burn out. You got to sometimes take a step back, reflect on the small wins, because they're going to really make you appreciate the journey a little bit. And they're going to keep you going because you're going to realize the progress that you're making But if we don't actually have a process for doing this, then we are going to get burnt out because we're not going to realize the progress that we're making. And I assure you guys, if you're taking action every day towards your goals, even small micro steps, you're making progress. So maybe this looks like a nightly journal where we just write out 3 to 5 of the big wins or little wins that we had today. Maybe it's just a weekly process. When you sit down and you review your long-term goals, also just write out 3 to 5 wins for the week. But I think it needs to be in practice. We need to take a step back once a day or once a week and look at the victories we had in the past week, because those are the things that are going to keep us motivated to go claim victories in the following week. All right, guys, super quick, short, concise, to the point. We're going to wrap this thing up right around 11 minutes. I hope you found this to be useful. I really enjoyed researching this podcast. I had a blast making it. I love spending time with you guys. Of course, if you could take 30 seconds today and leave a review or a rating for the podcast, it really helps us to get these messages out to more people. Either way, though, I am just so appreciative that you just spent the last 11 minutes with me. Next week, we have got an unbelievable guest. His name is Steven Scoggins. He's a world-renowned business coach, speaks all over the nation. The guy's got like 100,000 Instagram followers. He's a total boss, and you're going to love that one. Until then, though, get out there, guys. Claim your greatness and do big things.